Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. The next WASTELESS WORLD Talks are here. Today, me and Bill McClain, we will talk about a term which came to me yesterday. So, welcome here, Bill, and let's start, with the standard procedure. If you close your eyes and you hear the term Reins, what came first to your mind?
Horseback riding a horse, and the reins that you hold to guide the horse. And oftentimes that also means if you are controlling a person or controlling somebody else, uh, and they say you have to rein him in. But it's the same thing, horse or another person or something.
Uh, does it have something to do with management generally? Because I have learned that the manager originally it's a French word, and it has some annotation or combination with horses, with horse carriage driving generally.
It certainly has management. By the same token, as I had alluded to, controlling somebody. So I control the horse, I control the people, and a manager, some people think, needs to control all the people beneath him. Um, so you could use it interchangeably with control, I think.
Uh, we have less horses on the streets. At least on the streets of New York are for sure much less horses than 100 years ago. But do we have less rams?
We probably have less control over the vehicles that are on the road to the transportation being horses of 100 years ago. But once we get the autonomous vehicles going on the road, we'll have much more control. We'll have much more reins because a central computer will be controlling them all. And so there will be, the vehicles will be reined in.
Mm-hmm. But without our interaction. The only interaction will be to push the button to say where I would like to go, but we will lose the ability to control the cars.
Oh, yes, we will lose the ability to rein the cars in, uh, but the but the cars will be reined in, not by us,
Mm-hmm.
by some computer, which may be a good thing. I look on the streets as the cars go by. There's a high percentage of people who are holding their cell phone and or texting as they're driving. They are not reined in.
Um, you know, do you think that the young generation know this word? Is it used in vocabulary?
There are a lot of words from the early 900s that have fallen into disuse, and other words that have taken on new meanings. So I think far fewer people, I don't can't put a percentage on it, but far fewer people are familiar with this word than it was a long time ago. It's a good point. We continue to change.
Because in the noon discussion, I have people from, let's say, not all countries has been advanced countries, so India, Philippines, and so on, and there's still use a lot of use of animals, horses, and many others, donkeys, and for them, it's a common term. Still, it's a
Hmm.
common term. For my country, we don't use horses anymore so frequently, but we use the term in a connection which you described before in connection to other people or mass of people. So we have to keep them in a right direction, something like that. So move them in the right direction. And so I think that the dreams become invisible, but I think they are more at the moment. Just we don't see it. We don't recognize them. We are, and some of us love them. You know, it's much easier when somebody else do the decision for me because I don't need to.
That's very true. And the type of reins that we keep on other people have become psychological, um, and whereas before, say 50 or 100 years ago, the reins that we had on someone else were dictated by government or by religion or by, right, this is the proper role for a woman, for example. That's a form of reins, but it's put down by society or religion or whatever. Now that a government, I'm not going to go there, but now that religion is not uh, used as much, uh, but now psychological control, where you, and then they come up with words for the psychological control or the reins. So, for example, they have something called gaslighting, where I blame someone else or I shift uh, my sins onto someone else, uh, and shaming somebody, always to rein them in or keep control. And I don't know if that sort of psychological reins are more frequent now than before. I suspect they are. I suspect they are.
I think there may be a difference, or at least I see it from my perspective, that currently, uh, before we have been, let's say, in a relation between horse and man. The man hold the reins and he manipulate where the horse will be going. So the horse was not so happy to do so, but he cannot do anything about it, let's say, or but today we put it deliberately. You know, I think that the brands are just the brands of Reins. You know, it's a Gucci, it's a Apple, it's whatever. It's a, and we put it ourselves. We are proud to put our Reins on, thinking that we are the one who managing. No, it's the same. We spoke about eye flaps, and so I think it's the connection. You know, eye flaps. We discussed it more than a year ago. I think almost 2 years ago. And just now we have another part of the horse, whatever, and we came that it is very similar.
And as you just mentioned, I think many of us willingly put the reins on. Um, so, for example, I was just reading a quote from somebody, 1984, something like that, where it says that, and it's true back in the Roman times too. We give them the games in the Colosseum. We give them beer or alcohol to keep them drunk. People are very happy to just talk about the ball game, talk about the and there's no substance, but then they don't have to think, and they don't have to say why, and should I be doing this based on what? They don't, and they don't have to. And that I promise you, I was not going to get into politics, but that's what attracts, I think, a lot of the Republicans who voted for um, whatever his name is, because they don't have to think. They can accept the tribe, right? They can accept, and all they have to do is just accept it, and their work is done. And those are reins. That's a very good, very timely word today. Thank you.
It's not only that. I published an article up today, and it's like, about my time travel. So it's so accurate up to the current situation. I'm all the time fascinating myself, but the second fascination came from the understanding of the others. In the past, if you will behave like the people who dress as horses, there are people, I don't know what is the term for that. They dress, they have the reins and everything. And, if they will dress like that 100 years ago, I don't know whether they will be shut down or just laughed out or put in a crazy whatever. Uh, Today, the people try when they see someone with the reins on, with the Apple, newest Apple, they try to buy the same one. It's like multiplying the reins. Give me the superpower of the holder, not understanding that I am not the holder. And it's exactly that. And I was surprised by some reactions today about the result, where the people take it, foreigners take it as a positive because they think it will change to positive. And it's strange. It's strange, at least. And it reminds me on this Reins, on this brand Reins, which the people put on deliberately and just not to think because someone will think for me.
There's, there's, there are many drawbacks to thinking for yourself. The first drawback is um, it takes effort. It takes you have to stop, and many people, maybe a majority of the people, are working so hard every day to put food on the table. They don't have the time or the mental energy to think through some of these situations. So they don't have to spend that time and energy if they just will accept what someone else, the reins that someone else gives them. It's so psychological. Um, but we used to do that. We used to accept the reins from the government, right? Here's the bad guy. We hate him. Uh, we hate this country, and just accept that. Just accept it. And it's so much easier when we do, because then we don't have to. But then we get into stupid things like wars, because we have accepted without thinking. And it's probably the biggest, it may be one of the biggest uh, mistakes that we as humans do, and that is accepting somebody else's reins and not thinking through ourselves.
Uh, do you think leaders need reins to lead?
Ugh. Yeah, geez. There is very interesting you should say that, because the word reins historically um, is synonymous or is grouped a lot with the heart. And the heart and the brain make up the man. And so the heart and the brain give a moral compass. Hopefully, people, as they mature, they develop this moral compass. It used to be that we accepted the moral compass from the church or from government. Not so much now. So people have to have their own individual moral compass, their own uh, their own reins. To be a good leader, you have to have um, a lot of things, including purpose. You have to have vision. You have to have, and the reins help us to guide ourselves, our team, our whatever. And those are reins. But you have to have them. Leaders have to have, and if you don't, or if you have the wrong kind of moral compass, then it can be disastrous.
You know,
So yes, that's a good question. Thank you.
the reason why I'm asking, I have seen recently several videos of people who work with horses, and they put not the real one, but as a virtual one. They do exactly the same movement, put it on the head, but there was nothing in the hands of the girl. She just pretends to put it on the horse head and have these pieces of the reins in her, and the horse follow. There was nothing. It was just in the mind. And it was quite interesting because I saw this video several times. But just today, I realized that even the horse, his body was acting. So his ears, as her hands was at the top, the ears go a little bit back, not to be in way. That was so interesting.
Well, that brings up the story of how to train a flea. Now, fleas normally will jump a meter high, but if you put a glass hood that's only 1 foot high, the first couple times they jump, they bang their head, and then they don't jump that high anymore. Then you take the glass off of them, and there's nothing to stop their jump, but they still only jump 1 foot. And that's how you train a flea. Uh, and in that case, the glass cover would be the reins. And then there's a similar story about monkeys and bananas. But so really, reins can be the glass cover or can be the training, right? Good point. But how do you train humans? How do you, so the word training is similar to the word reins also. So now we've got a couple of synonyms: control, um, training. Okay.
So what is the, usually we ask, what is the opposite?
Uh,
Uncontrolled? Chaos? I don't think so.
the opposite of reins um, could be chaos.
Or is it freedom? Or peace?
You know, if you don't train a child, for example, to pick up his toys when he's finished playing with them, then and that training is the reins, and you don't train him, so he has no reins. Your house will be a mess forever. They may be a very nice kid, but that also goes into the social fabric of that child has, the responsibility, the respect for the room, the respect for whoever's home he's in, the respect, and that's part of the social fabric also. So it's a parent's job to train or to put some reins on these little kids so that they're not uncontrolled. So in that case, the opposite might be uncontrolled, might be chaos, might be. I'm liking this word reins more and more.
Happy to hear. Me too, to be honest, because it was so interesting. I have completely different work. I have several of them than what I do already because we have started with this one. We are starting the third year, so there is already 104 work, and it does not seem too much, but 104, 103 words are already quite a lot, especially if you would like to choose the standard term. And so few I cannot use anymore, but this one came to me and I said, okay, it must be a reason because it came to me in Czech and I didn't, when I translated, I realized that I never heard this term in English, never, ever. So, and I was curious what the people who speak English more than me, whether they will know the term. And only one, the speaker in Bangladesh, does not know the term in its original meaning generally. So it was quite interesting for me.
Is English, the guy in Bangladesh, is English his first language?
No, is his second language, but he speaks quite well, and he spends, I
Yeah.
think, some time abroad in English speaking country. So his English is good, but this term was new to him. So it was quite interesting. But for the others, it gave me one more interesting insight because all the others for whom still the animals are part of their life, means
Right.
including the working animals and so on, know it better know it, simply know the term. There has been different aspects, like it's not just for steering, but it's even for transferring the power from human to the animal, or from animal to the human as well when they carry something. And it was quite interesting, quite interesting. So yeah,
Sometimes when um, we used to ride the horse on the farm quite a bit, and so if the horse is trained, or if the horse is familiar with where he is or where he's going, you can just let the reins go. And in fact, that's um, I think there's a saying, something like that. Let go of the reins. Let go of the reins, which means stop micromanaging. Let go of the reins.
that's great. That's a great sentence. I just have last week or on Sunday, I have a next talk about nothing in Czech. And the lady, she is doing travel agent in some way. So if you would like to go somewhere, she can arrange everything for you. She spent a lot of time in other countries and so on. So, and on her profile, she has a written great sentence. She wrote there, where the AI ends, start my work. And I asked her whether I can use it with human. She allowed me. So I started to say where the AI ends, human starts. And it was 2 days before I came with the term Reins. But it is so greatly expressed that I was,
Would she allow me to steal that also?
yes, I'm sure. I'm sure. I will tell her and she will be happy
I will change it today.
because it's really great. It's really great. It's so strong. And okay, when we speak about AI, we do almost every time. Uh, does AI represent Reins?
Well, perhaps to the extent that we spoke at the beginning of the talk today, where AI is used to direct and drive autonomous vehicles, then AI has the reins. In fact, probably in a lot of what AI does, it is providing the control over something and over people in a lot of cases.
And can it be, so AI be the Reins? Not
Yeah,
just because I think
I,
it is.
I think it is. Um, so for example, um, computers and a form of AI is used to land an airplane or steer a ship, um, and that is providing the control over that ship. And to the extent where we are passengers on that ship or on that plane, it's providing control over us. I'm reminded of 2001: A Space Odyssey. Hal took the reins, tried to take the reins from the astronaut. Yeah, next time we talk about this word, we should first watch 2001 again and ask these same questions.
And listen to the great sound because it was so complex, the movie. Without the sound is nothing. With the sound, is you just close
Right,
your eyes and you are there.
right.
Speaking about movies, do you know who will maybe join us one day in talks? Keanu Reeves.
One of my all-time most favorite people in this world.
And I mean it. I spoke with him. No, not spoke. We write. We connected. He liked what we are doing. And he said, yeah, if there will be a time, I would be happy to join you. Will be great.
Wow,
Will be great.
wow, wow. And Kevin and Noah have to be there.
I am sure they will. Even if they cannot, they will join. Because yeah, I have the same feeling about Keanu. He is, for me, he is human. That's just all
Right,
what I express. He is human.
right. No pretense, no pretending. Um, Reins, he does not try to control anything but himself. Um, and I expect that he could contribute to this conversation too, because of he just worries about himself, about that didn't come out right. Um, how can he be more helpful, better person? How can he help others? Um, and so many people, famous people, are uh, just so full of pretense and pretending and ew. It just makes me feel ew. But not Keanu Reeves, and for that reason, he's one of my favorite people.
And when we speak about Reigns, Matrix number one, of especially it was about Reigns, and all the series about the number one, of course, will remain. And it was so unbelievable that I remind it every time. Uh, okay, back to family. Who has the reins in the family?
So traditionally, the man has the reins, but women find ways to control the man who has the reins. Um, and that has continued to evolve. And I think it's different in each. I'm thinking of my own family, for example, and I really don't think she controls me or tries to control me. I don't really think that I try to control her. Hmm. I have to think about that because there's lots of different levels of control, and there's or reins, and lots of psychological. Hmm. I have to think about that. How about you?
Uh, what about the child? uh, in our family, um, it's the child who generally try to take over and hold the reins. She is not child anymore, but in many families it is so. But I don't think there is needed. I don't think the reins are needed there. Of course, target orientation, some rules, that's fine. But I think the family is made because it's together, because
Yeah,
everyone is some specific roles. He or she can cook, the other can clean, whatever. So it's somehow
right.
separated. They work together. You know, we have in Czech, we have a he lived in the US for a long time, Mr. Verich as well. He was a great and famous actor before the Second World War generally, and he moved and lived in the US after. And in one of his movies was a great song in which part of the song says, I can do this and you can do that, and together we will do a lot. And it's a very famous Czech song. Unfortunately, I think never translated, uh, but it is so strong, these messages. The same as Keanu in some of his movies or statements generally. He just sit there and say something, and it is so powerful. And exactly that was Mr. Berry and Mr. Voskowitz. So both moved to US and unfortunately died there. But I don't think that the family is family because one hold the reins. I think it is called family because of this. That's my opinion.
I would agree with that. Uh, it's and of course there's a whole wide spectrum of definition family, um, and so reins are used to varying degrees, or they exist, or maybe they don't exist in different families. Um, uh, and I think that some people respond very well to reins from someone else in the family. Much like you said at the beginning, that some people feel more comfortable when they have reins put on them. Um, that's interesting. The whole discussion of reins would make a fascinating introduction to a book on family psychology.
I just had another talk about nothing in Czech. Young mother, mother of a girl. She is 9 at the moment, and she was born with a heart disease. And at the age of 2, the heart was
Transplanted?
transplanted. Living heart was transplanted. You know, unbelievable story. And they find out later on because the kid, of course, was all the time ill and tired and so on. And they found something which is called hydrogen infused. Generally, you inhalate hydrogen from special machine, and it clean up your body. You know,
Yeah.
and the girl was time to time jumping behind her, and you see how happy she is. You know, and that everything is left and so on. It was so fascinating, considering that there already exists not only exchanging the heart of 2 years old child. That's only is miracle. But then the child is 9, happy, full of energy, and that was great. I think biggest rains give the life itself. It's helping us. I think the
Yeah.
joy and happiness and meaningfulness, which we talk so frequently about, I think these should be the rains, if any needed. That's the right direction.
The story of the little girl, is she still alive, do you know?
Yes, yes. She was 2 days ago. That was it was great, simply great.
I was just reading an article about cars powered by hydrogen, and the only um, waste that they have is water vapor. And in fact, it sucks up the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere and cleans. So in fact, so this is a lot like this little girl, right? It is curing, the hydrogen is curing while it is providing life or
Yes.
transportation or whatever.
And at the
Um,
same time, is the most abundant
right.
thing in the universe, they say.
So if you believed in God or some supreme being uh, sitting there in the cloud saying, "I gave them all this hydrogen and they still haven't figured it out."
That was great final word because we are 3 minutes to left.
Hmm. I'm going to have to look up that hydrogen infused medical treatment.
I will
I've
send
not
you
heard of
some
it.
information. They have a lot of. She worked closely. I told you about the women which spent 40 minutes talking to me, jumping over the rope without catching
Yes,
for breath. She was
yes, yes,
inviting this as well. So I think there must be really, really very interesting applications. The
yeah, yeah,
original, they
yeah,
said that the original came from Japan generally, and then the Czechs did something as well. So you can buy it as well in a water and so on. And they do it here. They rent it for you, the machine, because it is expensive. But when I saw the small kid, I have tears in my eyes.
yeah. I can imagine.
It was great. It was really great. So, but next week we will see each other as well. I hope there will be more of us again. And what do you think it's expecting? No, I will ask differently. Will you spend more time on the beach these days or less?
The weather over here has been unseasonably warm. Today, it's supposed to get up to 74 degrees. It should be, I don't know what that is in Celsius, probably 20, around 20 degrees, I believe. Um, so we got up this morning, now that it gets now that it gets light at 5 a.m. or something like that, and took a walk yesterday and today for 3 miles on the beach. And yes, we are spending. We're trying to become more active, and my wife is a software engineer, and so she sits in front of a stupid screen all day long. Um, and so she's retiring um, 2 more weeks, and her one of her main objectives is to become more active and get up off her butt and stop staring at the screen. And so I suspect that we will be spending a lot more time at the beach.
Happy to hear. Have a nice time free of waste and wasting in all its times, in all its forms. Stay safe, be free, and enjoy the Reins free life.